Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we're actually talking about Google because very soon your doctor may be Googling your symptoms a lot more than you think, and I'm sure that happens a little bit, but this is going nuts. The privacy implications of this, I think, are rather far-reaching. Now, this is coming from the Wall Street Journal. And here's what's going on. Google and a national hospital chain known as HCA Healthcare have struck a deal to develop healthcare algorithms using patient records, which is basically the latest foray by a tech giant into the ever-growing $3 trillion healthcare sector here in the United States. Now, HCA, which is based out of Nashville, Tennessee, operates about 2,000 locations in 21 states, and they would consolidate and store all of their patient information with Google data from digital health records, internet-connected searched medical devices, and basically creating a multi-year agreement between Google and HCA. Now, Google and HCA engineers will work to develop algorithms to help improve operating efficiency, monitor patients, and guide doctor decisions, according to both of the companies. The deal actually expands Google's reach into healthcare, where the recent shift to digital records has created an explosion of data that's under the HITECH Act, and a new market for technology giants and startups. Data crunching offers the opportunity to develop new treatments and improve patient safety, but algorithm development deals between hospitals and tech companies have also obviously raised privacy alarms, and we will get to that. Now, Google has previously reached deals with other prominent U.S. hospital systems, including the St. Louis-based Ascension Health, that granted access to personal patient information, obviously drawing public scrutiny and people like me saying, And to be fair, other tech giants other than Google have struck similar deals as well. It's not just them, but they are one of the largest, for lack of a better term, offenders, and I will get to that. Now, here's the plan for privacy as the Wall Street Journal laid it out. HCA patient records would be stripped of identifying information before being shared with Google data scientists, and that the hospital system would control access to the data. Terms of this deal were not disclosed to the Wall Street Journal by these companies. Now, Google will access the data when needed from with consent from the HCA, and I have to imagine they will give them a blanket consent for the most part, but the tech giant can also develop analytic tools without patient records and allow HCA, to test the models independently. Personal patient information is protected, if you didn't know, under the HIPAA Act here in the United States. The law allows for hospitals and some other healthcare companies, such as insurance companies, to share information with contractors, such as billing contractors, which must also abide by HIPAA's privacy protections. Some consider, and myself included, the laws outdated, basically because the law's protection haven't kept pace with the technology sector's growing demand for patient data, and I'm going to talk about that rather soon here. Now, companies may also use this data under the law in ways to develop products that boost corporate profit with no visibility or control for patients over how their data is used, meaning HCA is probably not going to have you, HCA patient, opt in or out of Google. You simply are having a blanket, I accept third parties can share my data under HIPAA rules for HCA, Google being one of those, and you may not know. Now, hospitals are uniquely positioned as brokers for data created by patients seeking care and interacting with doctors, laboratories, pharmacies, and medical devices. They have increasingly sought to capitalize on that data the health providers have in deals to aggregate patient records or develop products with pharmaceutical or technology companies as well. And I think people would be less unsettled, for the record, if Google's primary revenue stream wasn't data mining its users for advertising profit. That's what we're talking about here, in the sense that you are giving over your data to the largest data miner on the planet that has in turn been using the vast majority of the data they're collecting for that. Despite Google's assurances that that won't happen, that's obviously a deep concern. Now, let's talk about HIPAA for a moment, because HIPAA itself is antiquated in that even if the personally identifiable information is stripped from the medical record, study after study of data research scientists have shown that other identifiers can be used to successfully ID and then track who a person is. And let me give you a possible scenario between Google and HCA I thought of as I was putting together my notes for this video and podcast. Now, I can envision a system where Google understands the patient's health, because it's getting these records that have been stripped from identifiers. So it's understanding the patient's health, its progression over time, and also the HCA location the patient attends, because obviously they're going to want to understand that. So if we have some kind of trend for, I don't know, medical and pollen across the United States, obviously you're going to need to know that patient's location. And so if they've got the HCA location, they've got your patient's health, they've got the progression of that health over time, they could then attempt to triangulate that with other sources such as Gmail. If that patient is using Gmail and they're emailing their, I don't know, spouse or mother or whatever about this, they can data mine that. Google search results from that area. If somebody is searching, pollen count in the United States and they happen to be in Nashville, Tennessee, head of headquarters for HCA, these are things that we are looking at. They could even purchase social media data from outfits like Facebook and then zero in on that person and start attaching those stripped medical records, those anonymous medical records, to the person. They're de-anonymizing this, and that isn't a huge thing. And the reason for them, if you're thinking, well, why the heck would they go to that? I think for them to internally figure out that reason is rather obvious, because it makes them money. Now think about this. Assume for a moment I am one of those patients that needs medical equipment and regular medication. So I am going to my HCA location. I'm emailing my woes to my mother saying, oh my God, I really need this medication this month, or, oh, they really raised the price on, whatever medical device I've got, or I need regularly in my life. And they can put all of that together. And if they can figure out who I am, then what do I get? Advertising. I get advertising for that specific medical device, or maybe I can go and buy it from, an online website that will then give me the ability to continue to re-up my dose for cheaper than I would if I walked into my local pharmacy. This is what we're talking about here. This is the problem. They didn't find me because of my health records, but my health records pointed them in my direction, and they were able to find a whole bunch of other information to tie me to my health information, and now we have a loophole. And if you're thinking this is bonkers, this isn't actually far-fetched. There have been studies done on this specific type of de-anonymizing and IDing of people via things like GPS location movements, social media posts, and more. All you have to do is Google it to find those. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, everyone.